Tuesday. And I think the Democrat Party is the only organization that can bring so many people that hate America together under one banner. It seems like
That's because they're all going to vote Democrat. Why? I mean, why do you think that? Honest to God, why do you think we were locked in our houses? Because they hated Donald Trump. They wanted mail-in voting. They cheated their balls off. They're just saying it now. You're not. Imagine if you said that. I said it. Canceled. I had a show on a major network that got canceled because all I said was, "Hey, Black lives definitely matter, but Black Lives Matter is a Marxist organization. Watch it." Canceled. Was I right? Yeah.
Rob, I was talking this morning about what we're seeing happening across the United States, Minnesota, last night, Los Angeles. You have been a part of more operations than you could probably remember because of the head injuries. But what we're seeing right now, I know that's a fact. I know it's a fact.
I know. I just love how neither one of us batted an eye at that. That I'm thinking,
Yeah.
we know it's true.
Because I help veterans full time in my
Oh,
job.
of course, yeah.
As a VSO. And one of the greatest stories that was never told, I had this guy come in, Vietnam vet, bad injury on his arm, and he never filed a claim. And we get to talking, and I was like, what do you want to file for? He's like, well, hands me his DD-214. I'm like, oh, you got Purple Heart. What's this for? I don't want to talk about it. I'm like, well, now we got to talk about it.
You probably should talk about it.
He was attacked by a tiger. He did 12 days in Vietnam. They're out. He's a Marine out on a patrol. They're walking through whatever you call that, the jungle. A tiger jumps out, pins him to the ground, rips out a giant chunk of his arm, punches the tiger or grabs it, gouges its eyes, whatever you do. The other Marines fill it full of, poison, lead poisoning.
Yeah.
But him and I were talking just recently about this, and I love picking the brain of some of these vets like this. I said, what needs to happen? He said, I don't know, because protesting has turned into a religion. It's turned into an ideology. And I was like, man, how do you win that? How do you beat that? You've dealt with insurgents. That's a political ideology. Do we pay them to go away? Do we send in the military? How do we combat what's happening right now in America?
Well, that's interesting too, because there are some organic protesters that show up, but they show up to paid protests that are being funded by big dark money, usually coming out of China.
Okay.
And it could be American billionaires that have just gone to China and they stay there, and they're doing it that way because China's got every interest in disrupting this country. So a lot of these people that you see, I don't know, like kicking the back of law enforcement vehicles during active arrests, breaking a rib, getting hurt, harassment, a loaded weapon, then getting another fight and getting killed because he brought that on himself. Because he was paid to be there and be an agitator, and because a lot of people are fed with such bullshit their entire lives, they don't know what it's like to not be on the keyboard. And when you're dealing with there's a certain line for protesting, which I completely agree with, and you should be able to say, hey, this is wrong, I'm speaking up, and I brought my friends. But there's a line. The second you cross the line and you're now breaking the law or impeding, and you get arrested, you should say, okay, and you cooperate and then have your day in court. That's the way it's designed. This way they're harassing, they're violent, they're aggressive, they tear shit down and break stuff, they burn it on purpose. It's anarchy being funded. They're paid protesters. That's all they want. And then as soon as something like don't think for a second, the left, the communists, the Marxists, they want fatalities. You think they care about that woman, Good, who was driving the car, which is a deadly weapon, and got killed justifiably? Not saying I would have done it, well within the rules of engagement. You think they give a shit about her or remember her first name? I doubt it. They don't dude. They photoshopped that dude because I think he looked a little too Jewish. The one that got killed, he didn't look the part. He they made him look like this big muscular. No, he looked the way he looked, and he's an agitator. But they do that, and then congressmen from different parts of the country show up there in honor of his shrine, and they fucking cry. Grown-ass men crying over someone they didn't know, someone they used as a pawn. And it's just pathetic. But once they get that, they know the goddamn media shows up. They're going to be all over it saying, bad Trump, United States bad, colonizers, poor, innocent, what bullshit. This is an insurgency. This is pretty much a civil war. I don't want to see, I do not like seeing Americans get killed on on our soil by law enforcement. You got to figure who's the law enforcement guy. These are normal dudes. I'm a normal dude. People come at me all the time. Don't think I'm a real person. Who's the law enforcement guy that's thinking about his mortgage, his kid who's sick, how he got drugged by a vehicle 3 weeks ago? He's been getting harassed now at his hotel, fireworks shot at him. Fucking white liberal bitches with whistles in his face all day long. Very, very stressful. There's an armed insurgent right here. Other cops, gun, cars coming. There's a lot of shit going on. When I'm within my rule, when I take my deep breath, it might be time to take the shot. Well within the rules. These people need to realize they're being used as useful idiots the second the communists take over, if they do, which is real. This is really happening. Communism isn't a cute little high school word and college word for retards that are $160,000 in debt for a stupid degree in gender studies. This is real shit. And when it comes down to it, there's people have become so used to talking shit on their phone, on their computer, not in person. Consequences are real. If you have the right of way in Manhattan when it turns walk, and you just walk while you're staring at your phone and you get hit by a fucking bus, guess what? You were right. You're also fucking dead. And that's just
true.
it. A bullet needs to be right once. A speeding bus needs to be right once. Your right of way can suck a big fat fucking dick.
Let me ask you this. With regards to protest and riots, I don't know what the insurrection looks like. I barely remember the Rodney King stuff. I was in high school.
Yeah,
I was probably smoking a lot of weed. I was probably drinking a lot. I mean, I'm a redneck from Lower Alabama.
Gotcha.
Bonfires, weed, drinking. That's what we did. And we hunted at night. I've painted a few churches for community service for hunting at night. And those usually followed weed and alcohol. But at what point does President Trump have to use the Insurrection Act? Because Minnesota, they sent in the National Guard and they passed out donuts. And I don't think the California is going to do anything to stop it.
Well, Minnesota you're just getting a little bit of the front of your foot in the door, because you'll notice this is all about fraud. Everything that you're seeing, all the left, including the media, including the mayors of some of these cities, including Governor Walz, including Gavin Newsom, they are so deep in stealing your tax money. And I'm talking to everyone listening right now. They are so deep in stealing your shit and trying to get power. They know that once they start falling, it's all going to fall. And we're talking, hopefully, jail time, because this stuff is so serious that's going on. This should be jail time, but also the prosecutors now are worried about it. Well, I mean, this is why, I know they released some files yesterday, but this is a lot of the reason a lot of the Epstein files aren't out there, because this is going to open a can of worms that people aren't prepared to deal with. People aren't prepared to deal with the fact that since they started income tax in the Fed, which isn't federal, by the way, that starting with the New Deal, not the Green New Deal, the bullshit, the handouts, climate change, all that shit. We had a Marine Corps, a Navy, and an Army before 1916, 1913, all that bullshit. Then we decided we're going to do this. The reason they wanted women to go to work is because guess what? Now the state can raise your family, and we get to tax twice the amount of people in the country. All of this is for their personal power and their wealth. That's all it is. So once they start going into Minnesota, you see what you see. But now Donald Trump is meeting with the mayor and talked to Governor Walz, and now Tom Homan's showing up in place of Kristi Noem, who's a badass, by the way. She's just not as sensitive, which I love about her. She's a badass. But the negotiations are where it's going to be. It's like, look, Governor Walz, you are looking at jail time. Here's what we have. So we can save face and talk shit when you're in front of the cameras. We're going to send you to prison. It's a question for how long. How are you going to cooperate? So eventually they're going to cooperate there, unless they want to go to prison. Donald Trump's in his last, we'll just say Donald Trump's in his second term, but he's serious. And he's all about saving this country. And the people that are standing up against it are want chaos in the country. That includes Hollywood. That includes the universities, the professors. That includes the education. It includes the media, most of the media. And that's all it is. They're protecting their personal power. Once it starts to fall, you're going to see really, really bad stuff.
One of the few news channels that I believe has stayed beyond reproach is Newsmax. It's one of the ones I follow. It doesn't seem like they are as influenced by their advertisers, and maybe that's detrimental to them or whatever. But the riots in LA, it seemed like yesterday the riots in Minnesota were turned off. LA kicked up. And I believe Minnesota would be worse if the weather was nicer, if it was warmer.
Oh, no doubt. Well, they did it before. They burned the whole place down in 2020.
Oh yeah, the summer of love,
But see,
right?
this has nothing to do. I mean, people get a load of this. People in Minnesota are great people. It's the third world in Minneapolis and St. Paul, St. Cloud that's crushing. Like but again, it's on them. I mean, when Ronald Reagan beat Walter Mondale in 1984 and he won 49 states,
Only
guess
Minnesota.
get only Minnesota and DC. But that
Yeah.
should give you an idea too. Like DC is pretty much lost. You've got the most wealthy counties in the country surrounding DC, but nothing is produced there. Why is that? They're stealing your taxpayer money. If you're listening to right now and you're voting down for Democrats, what is wrong with you? How do you not see this? I'm an independent man. And Republicans, they're horrible. They got us into Iraq. So let's not pretend. I'm an independent, and I say that I'm an American. And this two-party system is bullshit. I mean, look at Lindsey Graham. Loves every war, never been to one.
It's
I
true.
mean, well, but granted, as a former SEAL Team 6 team leader, I am aware of how tooth and nail infantry trench warfare the fucking Navy Reserve is usually, but he hasn't been to war.
What do you think
I was
happens
taking a
in
shot at my
LA?
Navy, at my shipmates there. I'm just joking.
What do you think happens in LA this summer? Apparently the World Cup or maybe the Olympics. I
World
think both
Cups.
are scheduled.
Yeah, they're both. Yeah, I know the World Cup's coming. Yeah.
What do you think happens there as far as national security, travel, TSA?
The
Because
uh, the only religion that's bigger than Catholicism and Islam is football. So don't worry about the World Cup. It's coming. You're not look, you there are people out there in the world that have shot their wife at home because they changed the channels. Like this isn't
that's
going
right.
anywhere. This is it. And by the way, too, yeah, I know we call it soccer here, but football around the world is the most popular sport around, and it's by the way, to people listening, if you get an opportunity to see any game, I don't give a shit which team's playing, go to the World Cup. It's here.
I lived in the UK for about 6 years. I went to a World Cup when it was in Germany. I don't remember much of it. There's a place in Germany. It was called like Piss Hill. Everybody gets drunk, goes and pees on the hill. It will get you arrested. I will just say that.
The Piss Hill will get you arrested in Germany?
Piss Hill will get you arrested.
Oh, wow. Well, I guess Germany, what year was that?
Was that 2000? I want to say I was in the UK when 9/11 happened. So I believe it was right before the 9/11.
Yeah, okay.
I believe
That was in
that was when it
Germany on
was.
9/11.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this. What's happening in Iran right now? The United States Navy putting this blockade, Gulf of Oman, other warships rolling in. How I believe this affects us more here than we realize, but a lot of like financially, all that other stuff. The thing I want to know about, or the one that worries me, she's like, how real are sleeper cells? That changed my whole like. I was like, whoa, my daughter knows
Yeah.
those words.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about that?
No, I'm glad she knows that. I'm glad she's aware because people need to be aware. It's so much better to not be scared, but realize a potential activity simply because it's better than keeping your head in the sand and wishing it away, which a lot of people like to do. They don't like to like Europe didn't believe Sharia law and the jihad were coming, and now they're here. Like there's nothing they can do about it. It's like being on the black side of a really shitty chess match where you see it coming and it's too late. And that's what's happening to them right now. Yeah, it's real. I mean, we had borders open for 4 straight years, so we've got at least I think a scalable number is 10,000 jihadis in this country right now. And you've got Iranians, you got Hezbollah, probably some Hamas guys, definitely Al Qaeda. Al Qaeda's one that like ISIS loves to stab you in the front and make fun of it. Al Qaeda stabs you in the back, and they're the ones that came up with "you have the clocks, but we have the time." They're fighting the long war that we're going to lose at this rate. By the way, don't fool yourself. You get calls to prayer being piped through major cities, and you elect a communist jihadi from New York. It's here. And don't think it's going to end differently. It's like the way I say it is I'm an optimist. I hope communism works like it never has before, just because it never has worked before. But yeah, I mean, you got to be aware of that too. And the shitty thing is, we've been so protected in this glorious country. This country is so fantastic, built by very, very no bullshit strong men. And then we let the the girl boss beta male sort of take over because they're surrounded by the freedom that was provided by grown ass men. And then they just pretend it's not real. And then when it gets here, it's literally that we've heard the sheepdog argument, the wolves, and the wolf will go up there in front of the sheep and say, "Once I get elected, I will become a vegetarian." And that's what America believes because we've been fed that bullshit since from cradle to the grave. Now that's what the public school system does. It's not the public school is not teaching you how to create, how to think. It's teaching how to be a good worker. With the public school, and think about this right now, even though we're in the middle of a conversation, if a fucking bell went off, we'd both stop and realize, oh, where do we need to be? Because we've been ingrained to be a worker. Shut up, get in line, go. That's it. I mean, that's what they do. And then what is the point of school? Well, you got to get into college. Why? Well, you got to get into college. Okay, why? Well, you got to get into student loans. So get a 24% maybe, which is a good rate, $150,000 debt. So when you get this degree and you get out, you're not thinking about how they're fucking you in DC. You're not thinking about how the borders are wide open. You're thinking about, my God, I can't afford my mortgage and I haven't cut my lawn yet. And that's how we live our lives. And then when you do have free time, what do? You go cheer for a group of guys that are playing a game you've never played. They don't care about you. That's what the Romans used to do that. They used to feed Christians to the lions because people like to watch it, but the Christians were the one protesting, right? What the government's doing. So we'll just get rid of the Christians, but we'll entertain the others by feeding the lions, and then no one will protest. Like it's history always repeats itself. And then if it doesn't, it rhymes. And then we just keep doing it over and over. And then you get your local kids. Then you get the useful idiots that have a better idea with the it happens all over. And then whomever is the winner, then they rewrite the history.
I mean, it seems like
I didn't answer Iran though, did I?
Well, I mean, we're seeing Iran here. I mean, it's here. I mean, what do we got? Like 68 members of Congress that were born in countries that want to kill us. I mean, that's the problem. But let me ask you this.
I mean, it's all on purpose. It's the Soviets said they were going to do that. They're going to infiltrate everything they have. I mean, even you hear now McCarthyism. McCarthy was right. Alger Hiss was a communist, and the government was fully communist coming in from the Soviet Union. That's all true. And then when people stand up for this country, they're called racists. And that's one of their weapons is racist. One of their weapons, because it's always racist. One of their weapons is always diversity is our strength. They always say that, and which can be fine. But I don't think bringing hundreds of thousands of people from a shithole country who are famous for fucking piracy. Like, I think the frozen lakes of Minnesota, I naturally don't think of East Africa.
No, I don't think anybody in Somalia is like, man, I want to go freeze.
But it's the same thing everywhere. I mean, my cousin who lives in Missoula, Montana, was telling me there was a bus stop full of sub-Saharan Africans in Minnesota, or I'm sorry, Missoula, Montana. Why? I mean, they don't have relatives there. Who in our government planted them there? Why? Is it because Montana's a red state? Probably. Because anyone you bring in through Democrats will start to vote blue. Why are there Sharia law towns in Texas? Because it's red as shit. And if Texas is lost, guess what else is? The fucking country. This is all a plan too. And this is why you're distracted. This is why there's social media. This is why there's all that shit, because you don't want to see what's really happening. I mean, I don't want to go down a bunch of rabbit holes just because of time.
Well, I mean, nobody in Somalia should ever learn to ice fish. And if you're in Montana, you know, or in Minnesota, you probably know how to ice fish. I mean, that's the obtuse thing. And I think the Democrat Party is the only organization that can bring so many people that hate America together under one banner.
That's because they're all going to vote Democrat. Why? I mean, why do you think that, honest to God, why do you think we were locked in our houses? Because they hated Donald Trump. They wanted mail-in voting. They cheated their balls off. They're just saying it now. You're not. Imagine if you said that. I said it. Canceled. I had a show on a major network that got canceled because all I said was, hey, Black lives definitely matter, but Black Lives Matter is a Marxist organization. Watch it. Canceled. Was I right? Yeah.